Well, it's taken just 5 years for the gang population in our prisons to double, and now the government's considering paying to relocate gang members when they go free. Corrections say a fear of retaliation is stopping former inmates from turning their backs on gang life, but is shifting the problem. Joining us are youth worker Mua Strickson-Pua and criminologist Greg Newbold, both of whom have worked extensively with gangs. Good morning to you both. Mua, if I could start with you first, please. You work with gangs. Is this something which is urgently needed? Is this a big problem where we've got people coming out too scared to go back to their communities?
I think it depends on the seriousness of how we wish to process realigning our people, the communities, the support and the processes that will be there supportive. I have to say I'm very cynical about the process. I think that we have a government that basically is beating up solo mothers, that's laying off over 600 workers, beating up unions, and then turning around saying, guess what, guys? We're going to look after gang members.
They're looking for a solution here, aren't they? They're trying to find a solution that might help.
There's a process of how you want to process that. And I think what we have here is the timing. What we have here is what is the commitment. I think the communities are saying, what are you going to offer? And at the same time, the New Zealand publicly, rightly so, will be saying, hey, let's get this right. You're going to help gangs. What about the rest of New Zealand society? And where's your commitment? Where is it up front? So a part of me is really cynical, but at another level, you're correct. It's important to have exit plans, but I think we're going to have the gangs involved in the discussions, bring on board the experts in terms of their fields, but also the communities have to be involved, and also in terms of the agencies that will give that expertise to align them with the processes out.
It needs a fair bit of planning as well. Greg Newbold, what's your experience from your research? Is there a problem here where you're finding guys terrified of going back to their communities?
I think I'm pretty cynical about it. I think it's a cop-out to say that you're too scared to get out of the gang. New Zealand's full of ex-gang members. I'd say about 90% of all gang members eventually leave the gang. There's not many very old. You know, gangs are mainly a young population. I know lots and lots and lots and lots of people who've got out of gangs. They don't have any trouble. You only have trouble getting out of gang if you've done something bad to the gang, and if you've broken one of the cardinal rules, if you've knocked on your mates or something like that. But if you've been a good gang member, you can easily walk out, you just sign off.
What's a good gang member?
A good gang member is a man who's loyal to his group and abides by the gang rules. And if you've offered good service to the gang and you want to leave, you've decided you've had enough, you just tell your mates, listen bro, I've had enough, I want to get on with another life, and they'll give you their blessing.
So I'm hearing that maybe this isn't necessarily a solution to a problem we have. There's a different problem here, which is gangs in general. I mean, should we be addressing more of the root causes of gangs rather than trying to fix problems with prisons?
I think we're talking about the macro issues of poverty. I think we're talking about the breakdown in education. I think we're talking about the issues of that we should be there before the cliff, not after the cliff. And I think also too that, as Greg's pointed out, that a lot of people have walked away and have processed that. We have to understand too that gangs are quite well organised. They're just as corporate. They have strong leadership structures, and they understand that there's an exit package in terms of a percentage that leave. Whilst it's not said publicly, it's a known fact that others have moved on to new lives and have responded to either faith issues, cultural issues, or political issues that's required them to move on.
What about those guys that you say who aren't good gang members, who do something wrong? Shouldn't we try and help them? Maybe they've actually narked on their mates for a good reason to tell the police something that they're doing wrong. We should be looking after those guys, shouldn't we?
Well, they are eligible for the witness protection program, and that's a different issue altogether.
Okay.
The police do offer anonymity, and they offer identity changes, and some even get transported to Australia if they've done something really bad and are liable to be facing personal harm. I've recently testified in 2 cases with the Australian Administration Authority, the immigration authorities in Australia, seeking to deport people who have been sent over on witness protection programs and then reoffended.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily mean that these guys are going to get out of crime.
Sure. What about, just finally, Mua, the issue of people going into prison and then feeling they have to join a gang in there to stay alive or to stay, you know, they've got to take a side? Surely they might need some assistance if they're worried when they come out, they're labelled with a gang title?
I think that we as a society must take responsibility that before we put these people in there, that we knew before that there were turfs, colours, groups, and that this is what they were sending these young men, women into. And so to turn around now and say, hey, let's find a process that will address this, but at the same time, we have so many macro issues here. So, yep, I agree, we should have an exit way. I agree, it's a good move, but I'm cynical about the timing and I'm cynical about the commitment. And 6 months' time, let's see if it's still on the boil.
All right, that's a challenge there for the government. Thank you very much, Greg Newbold, Canterbury University, and Mua Strickson-Pua from a gang worker and social worker. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Cheers.
you.